This is News 3 at 6.
We are following breaking news right now. Dane County deputies are on the scene in Waunakee at this hour assisting the Waunakee Police Department. There are reports of shots fired on Kearney Way. Officers were called to that scene within the past hour. We know that Waunakee EMS is also at the scene. News 3 will update you once we have more information. Rain overnight and this morning causing problems in Dane County. Several people had to be rescued from flooding, and several roads are closed elsewhere because of floodwaters. News 3 has live team coverage of the flooding in our area. Crews in Watertown and Marshall to our east. But first, we start with meteorologist Dave Caulfield. Dave?
Well, Eric, the good news is that rain is finally starting to come to an end across southern Wisconsin. A couple of showers, maybe a thunderstorm or two closer to the northern portions of Dodge County. But I do think generally the trend for these storms is that they are coming to an end. Also a storm in Grant County off in the distance. We can still see a little bit of that rain in Platteville on our Queen Bee Radio Skycam. Temperatures right now down into the 70s in Madison, 80 in Lone Rock, and 78 in Monroe. Dew points still in the upper 60s and low 70s, so plenty of humidity out there. But luckily, I do think that the storm chances are coming to an end over the next hour or two. Mild and partly cloudy, otherwise with temperatures falling through the 80s and 70s. Coming up in just a few minutes, we'll talk more about this flooding and a dry weekend ahead, thankfully, in your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Dave, thank you. And a lot of areas saw flooding because of that rain, including Watertown. Jamie Perez joins us live there with how people are dealing with all this heavy flooding. Jamie?
So the flooding earlier this morning was so bad that the Watertown School District actually ended up canceling their 7 o'clock football game tonight. So that's rescheduled for 7 o'clock tomorrow because the fields were so muddy, murky, and wet. It was just really not plausible to play on the field today. Now, the area that I'm standing in right now, even just a few hours ago, this area was a lot worse than it was. You can see that it's really kind of cleared up. But earlier, it did attract a lot of people to pull out their cell phones to capture just how high these water levels were. The flooding was so severe for drivers even around this area. This morning around 10:26, the fire department was dispatched to rescue 4 people from 3 cars that got trapped in those flood waters. Everyone is reportedly okay, but the cars were still submerged in that area even just a few hours ago. Lots of slowed traffic as cars tried to maneuver their way through the more impacted areas. River levels were high, and people really weren't expecting it to be this bad.
I mean, it rained for about 14 hours, I'm going to assume. So I knew there was the potential for at least high water, but I didn't think it would flood to this extent.
The flood levels really were the talk of the town. People have been in and out of this area all day, taking pictures and videos on their cell phones from this flood aftermath. Kind of seems like no one was really expecting it to get this bad. And even in this area that I'm in now, like I said, it's gotten a lot better even over the past couple of hours. But just over my shoulder this way, you can see cars can now drive through, but this area was a lot worse. If I were to stand probably right where that cop car is right now, or just even a little further, my body might have been like 2/3 of the way submerged. Now, granted, I'm not really that tall, but it was about 3.5 feet deep. So still a pretty significant amount. But as you can see, it's obviously getting much better at this point.
All right, Jamie Perez reporting live in Watertown. Jamie, thank you. We head now to Adam Duxter, who is live in Marshall, where flooding's also been an issue there. Adam?
So kind of the exact opposite of Jamie's situation in Watertown. As today goes by, this flooding is getting worse and worse and worse. It's coming from nearby water sources, and that's why earlier today, Marshall authorities and officials asked for help loading in these sandbags so that the water would not actually come into the Medina Town Hall. But how could that be happening? There's no rain today. How could the flooding be getting worse? Well, that's because, like I said, there are these nearby water systems that water is pouring out of slowly into these drainage areas, and city officials, like I said today, putting up that request for helping with the sandbags. And even with the water continually coming in, the officials told me today it's just a matter of containing it all at this point.
We have people, residents out in the area that are kind of suspect to maybe a little more flooding. They're going to just call us out. Other than that, we just hope the next 2 days of sunshine help this all go away.
The fire chief also told me today at this point there's no structural damage, and police and fire haven't had to make any rescues, so no cars getting stuck in standing water or anything like that. But he did tell me this is the worst flooding they've seen here in Marshall since the floods of 2008. And again, those were absolutely catastrophic. So again, the worst they've seen in Marshall here in quite some time, but they feel like they've got it contained at this point.
All right, something we'll monitor all night. Adam Duxter in Marshall. Adam, thank you. The rain also causing issues in the Milwaukee area. This video shows a section of I-43. Several drivers stuck in the flooded waters there, and some had to be rescued. Altogether, 4 people taken out of that water there. 2 others got out on their own. No one was hurt. The flooding happened where there was obviously some construction work being done that had narrowed the highway. If your plans depend on the weather, you need to get our accurate 12-hour and 10-day forecast up to the moment. Traffic information is well on the go. Simply download our Channel 3000 First Alert Weather and Traffic app. Be the first to know. Looking ahead to the November election now, county clerks all around the state want to make sure their elections are accurate. It's a response to some questions from the public about election security. News 3's Rose Schmidt with more on an effort going on in Rock County. Rose.
That's right. Now, this is actually not required by state law. The clerks are choosing to do it on their own. The state's Elections Commission randomly chooses wards around the state to audit after elections, but now those county clerks are choosing to do it on their own.
So this is the Town of Milton ballots.
Signed, sealed, and delivered to the Rock County Courthouse after they were taken out of the voting machines Tuesday night.
These are security seals. When you pull them open, they say void. So we know that these are still secure from election night.
But soon, Rock County Clerk Lisa Tollefson and her team will break open those seals and examine the results on the ballots inside.
And we decided at this election we're going to randomly choose 2 polling reporting units and just do a look and see how it matched up with what the votes were recorded.
Lisa's office picked races and reporting units out of a hat to audit. They chose 1 Republican race from a ward in Janesville.
There's actually 488 ballots. We'll be counting for that.
And 1 Democratic race from 3 wards in Milton. It's all part of a new effort to assure the public elections are accurate.
We have that confidence, but we want them to also have that confidence too. And just a small extra step to give that confidence to them.
The Wisconsin Elections Commission is issuing guidance to clerks for these post-election audits for the first time, standardizing the process.
We do all kinds of things to make sure that the voting equipment is secure, that nobody can hack into it or access it. This is sort of the final piece on the end that says, okay, yes, what the numbers that come out of the machine say are actually correct.
With fewer voters coming to the polls, Lisa says the August primary is a great time to work out any kinks.
We had 27,000 votes, where our last presidential we had 76,000. There's a little bit volume difference there.
But a smaller volume doesn't necessarily mean it's an easy process, which is why only some clerks across the state may audit the results.
We're pretty confident in how our elections are, in the results that we're getting. But it doesn't mean we shouldn't look and do that extra step just to make sure.
The Elections Commission says Kewaunee and Barron counties are also participating in the audit process, but there could be others as well.
Yeah, got to get all those ducks in a row for the next 3 months in November. Rose, thank you very much. The firefighters responding to a hazmat situation. This was in Sauk City this morning. The incident happened along the 700 block of Carolina Street to the northeast corner of the McFarland's retail and manufacturing building. Now, part of this building is also leased to Quartz Insurance for office space. Several people at this location reported feeling sick. The building evacuated for about a half an hour. Hundreds of extra officers will be patrolling in the state over the next couple of weeks. The Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign started today. It'll run through Labor Day. Officers and deputies will be on the lookout for drunk drivers. The DOT reports drunk driving crashes caused more than 160 deaths, 3,000 injuries in Wisconsin last year alone. The Children's Hospital of Wisconsin planning on expanding its campus in Wauwatosa. This is the hospital's first major expansion in a decade. It'll cost around $265 million. The state seeing its first case of West Nile virus in a person this year, the case involving someone from Dane County. The majority of human cases of West Nile in our state do occur in the months of August and September. The rainy weather not stopping officers and firefighters from fundraising around southern Wisconsin. Local officers and firefighters on rooftops or sidewalks at numerous Dunkin' Donuts locations today, raising money for Special Olympics. The event, a law enforcement torch run fundraising event. All proceeds will be donated to Special Olympics Wisconsin. One athlete says he has always dreamed of competing in the Special Olympics.
Until you've gone and you competed, you don't really know what it's about until you've been there. and just to see the camaraderie between everybody. It doesn't matter what state you're from, it doesn't matter who you are, you're accepted, and that's the thing about Special Olympics. You're accepted for who you are, and that's why I love to be part of this amazing organization.
And anyone who stopped by and made a donation received a coupon for a free coffee. 6 Dunkin' Donuts locations in Dane County participated in this fundraising event. Still ahead at 6, the Madison radio station trying to return to normal after a shooting there in recent weeks. We'll check in with the staff at WORT when News 3 at 6 returns. It has been nearly 2 weeks now since the shooting at Madison's WORT radio station. Investigators are still working to identify a suspect. In the meantime, volunteers at the station are trying to get back to normal. Our Madeline O'Neill joins us. She's in the news center tonight with more. Maddie?
Eric, in the early morning hours of Sunday, August 5th, a masked gunman opened fire at WORT while 3 hosts were there and he injured 1 man. That man is okay, but the shooting has left an impact on the community radio station.
Want to look both ways before you go in the door. Still, people have a little nervousness.
Do you want to do a song?
Going into his 40th year here at WORT, DJ Christopher Powers likes playing bluegrass music
Bickernut Ridge, Adam.
and recording live bands. Too much to go off the air anytime soon.
It's the only thing I get any respect for around here anyway.
Though after the last dozen days,
It's been a tough time down here.
security concerns have been hard to tune out.
So is this window right here?
This window between studios, hit when a gunman opened fire on August 5th, is now fixed. But the suspect is still out there.
It is hard.
And being here still feels a bit different.
Yeah, it is.
For board president and WORT founder David Devereaux Weber.
Adds another level of complexity to this place.
He says some hosts, especially those who stay overnight,
Doing it totally alone is a scary thing, so a lot less of that is happening.
are more attuned to safety concerns.
We give a lot more hugs because we all need a little bit of support.
Devereaux Weber says 2 of the 3 hosts who were there at the time of the shooting have returned to the airwaves.
It shook his core.
1 has chosen to stay away.
It takes a while to deal with the trauma of that happening. Having to be running from a gunman inside the station and not knowing how to get away from him.
In this place full of sound,
I feel a sense of quiet optimism.
Powers says the shooting isn't scaring him away.
We all have a mission here.
There you have it, friends and neighbors.
Ward is working on improving security, which is difficult with a tight budget. Police say it was a targeted shooting against a specific person and are asking for your help in finding the suspect. According to Ward, it was a man wearing a mask and a hood, and if you have any information, you can call Crime Stoppers at 608-266-6014.
Madeline O'Neill in our news center tonight. Maddie, thank you. Still ahead of News 3 at 6. It's the day Bucky fans have been waiting for. The final Bucky on Parade statue now on display. We'll tell you where you can find it. That's next on News 3 at 6.
After the deluge of rain the past few days, we are thankfully drying out this weekend. We'll talk about temperatures in my forecast coming up just after this.
You can now get your picture by the final Bucky on Parade statue. The Crazy Legs Bucky unveiled at the UW-Madison PD this morning. The public art project features 85 statues. Rick Yankee, the artist of this statue, says he wants everyone to know about the legend of the late Elroy Crazy Legs Hurst. The statues will be on display through September 12th. All right, we want things to get dry out there a little bit. Dave Caulfield standing by has our forecast. Dave?
Yeah, Eric, I definitely want to Heisman away this rain, but unfortunately, I couldn't do that earlier this morning where just so much rain fell across southern Wisconsin, at least in parts. Other parts just to the north really didn't see a lot, so it was a very locally heavy system. Because of this, we do have that upper level low pressure system moving very slowly through southern Wisconsin, so that brought some wraparound rain to us this morning, and also that rain, very high humidity levels fueled the rain that interacted with that cold front and really brought some unbelievable rainfall totals to portions of southern Wisconsin. Watertown officially at 8.6 inches of rain. Just got a viewer report in between Watertown and Waterloo of over a foot of rain. Definitely possible given how much humidity has been in the air over the past 24 to 48 hours. Waterloo about 5.5 inches of rain, and Deerfield about 4.5. In Madison, we just got word that the 1.52 inches of rain today broke the old daily rainfall record set back in 1884. We're up to 4.5 inches of rain, and that month-to-date departure is going to go up after we get into the next couple of hours. Lots of flooding being reported today, like in Watertown. Here is a photo just of the massive scope of this flooding. And just because it stopped raining doesn't mean that the flooding is over for some of us. So if you do encounter flooded roadways tonight and even tomorrow, remember, turn around, don't drown. There's no way to know just how deep that water is. The good news is the rain generally coming to an end. A couple of showers and storms still out there, but really not affecting too many of us. And that rain is rather light. That flood warning, though, in Dodge and Jefferson counties still active until 12:15 tomorrow afternoon. Downtown Madison, no rain right now, which is a very good thing on the Edgewater Skycam. Still a little bit humid, though. Almanac for today, we did get into the low 80s once again, so a little bit above normal, even with all the clouds and rain. High temperature trend showing temperatures in the mid 80s as we head into Sunday, so the dry weather will definitely help us dry out over the next couple of days, but rain brings our temperatures down into the 70s on Monday and Tuesday. Tonight, a chance of an evening storm. That is wrapping up. Partly cloudy and mild otherwise, with temperatures in the low 60s. Areas of fog possible overnight, and they could greet us early tomorrow morning. Partly sunny and warm otherwise, with temperatures in the low 80s. So it should be pretty quiet overnight, but with that humidity still in place, don't be surprised if we see more fog to greet us on Saturday morning. Temperatures will be in the low 80s, and even though Future Track trying to paint a couple of showers, I'm not allowing it, folks. I don't think that will materialize. Same thing for Sunday. It should stay dry with temperatures in the low to mid 80s as we head into Sunday. So let's take a look at your 7-day forecast. By the time we get into the work week next week, some showers and storms are possible, and things will be definitely a little bit rainier on Monday and Tuesday. But then after that, we will look for, we will look for temperatures to be back into the 80s by the time we get into Thursday and Friday, with dry weather Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Next weekend, though, another chance for some showers and thunderstorms.
Well, we're back. High school football's back. That means Prep Mania is back, too. We head out live to Mansfield Stadium. That's next in sports. Well, high school football is back. The season kicks off tonight, and that means Prep Mania is back as well. Our Jay Wilson joins us live from Mansfield Stadium with Bill Brophy and a new member of our high school football crew this year. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Melissa. Good evening, everyone. My wife said to me today, "You've got a game of the week already tonight?" I said, "Yeah," and she said, "You're gone for the next 4 months, aren't you?" I said, "Well, yeah." She didn't seem all that disappointed for some reason, but that's another story for another day. Yeah, we're joined by Bill Brophy and Alan Minert, the former Holy Name and Edgewood coach, who's going to be joining us for our Game of the Week broadcast this year. First, let's go to Bro. This is the lineup for Sun Prairie. They made it to the state final last year. There's a whole bunch of different names on here now, and it's a new-look Cardinal team.
Yeah, program sales will be up. First of all, welcome Coach Minert. You may be a Hall of Fame coach. You're going to be a lot smarter in the press box standing next to Jay. But as you know, the first game of the season is always a big deal. Sun Prairie's only got 4 starters on both sides of the ball back. So lots of new names, but one of them's Cooper Nelson, the son of Scott Nelson, your former partner, the former Badger. He may be the best receiver in the state, the college guys say. They've also got a good linebacking card. They won with defense last year. They averaged 39 points a game last year when the Cardinals were the runners-up to Kimberly. But it's the first night. Who knows what's going to happen? And
speaking of first nights, Alan Minert, it's the first night for Memorial's new head coach, Mike Harris, who coached at La Follette just a few years ago. How difficult is a new coach and a new situation going to be for Sun Prairie to face, and in general, as a head coach, the first night of the new season?
Well, first of all, for a high school football coach, it's very similar to being like the mother of the bride. There's so many things that can go wrong, and you worry about those things. You hope the kids come out and just play really well at the beginning. From a Sun Prairie's perspective, Coach Harris hasn't coached for the last 4 or 5 years, so I know they did a little research of what he used to do at La Follette. They did a little bit of research of what Memorial's done in the past, and they do have last week's scrimmage to kind of base it off of. But at the end of the day, it'll be the kids blocking and tackling that'll make the difference in the game.
All right, well, these two teams played twice last year. Sun Prairie outscored Madison Memorial 85-0. We think it'll be a lot closer than that tonight. And it's Sun Prairie and Madison Memorial, TVW Channel 3000.com, kickoff just after 7. Melissa, back to you.
All right, thanks so much, Jay. The Packers, meanwhile, scoring the most points in a preseason game in franchise history last night when the team beat the Steelers 51-34. Now, Aaron Rodgers did play for 5 quick snaps, one of which resulted in a touchdown pass to tight end Jimmy Graham. Now, this is the first time Rodgers has taken the field at Lambeau in 321 days. The last time was in Week 4 last season against the Bears. And the Lambeau faithful welcomed him back, and Rodgers even getting a little emotional.
I got to thank the fans. To be back on Lambeau was a thrill, and the ovation touched me. You know, I had to kind of wipe away some tears in my eyes. I know getting over 30, those of us over 30, I think that's kind of a number where you start to get a little softer maybe, and things get to you a little bit. But that really meant a lot to me. I had to settle myself down a little bit and got into it with the throw to Devontae.
Brewers, meanwhile, continuing on the road after splitting a 2-game series at Wrigley Field. Tonight, they continue south to St. Louis. The Cardinals coming off a loss to the Nationals, bringing their season-high 8-game win streak to an end. Brewers are 3.5 games behind the Cubs. Cubs are in Pittsburgh tonight. And finally, so apparently this happened at Lambeau last night in the second half. Check out that security guy just obliterating that fan to the ground. That fan tried to run onto the field during the Steelers-Packers game last night. Let this be a warning to you. Some of those security guys will have no mercy in taking you down.
I think they got a seat check his numbers. Maybe they can line him up and rush the passer for the Packers this year. That guy can hit. All right, we're out of time, folks. Join us for all the Prep Mania high school football highlights tonight at News 3 at 10. Have a good one.